Let me
We can
double check
start
that.
streaming. We're gonna run this cold open style.
Sounds good. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not?
All right, we should be live. Been live
Yeah,
for about
yeah,
10 seconds. So welcome, welcome.
nice. Hello. But yeah, running back. Of course, the only thing they have them listed at is running back. I know that he played other positions.
A little do it all action.
Yeah, he's kind of like what's that guy's name? Cordell Patterson. You know,
Cordero Patterson.
yeah, kind of like that. You know, like it's
Falcons
not like
go.
he was like playing equal time on opposite sides of the ball, but
Right.
He was a playmaker. He was
Yeah.
explosive.
right, you just need him on the field at all times.
He could,
Electricity when he
the
touches
guy
the
get the
ball.
ball in his hands. Yeah.
He also ran track. Wow, that was crazy. Interesting. Anyway, all right, we're not talking about Denard Robinson today.
We can
You're
run
not.
this like the dog days of
We can,
summer. We'll have a live stream where all we do is just name guys and just talk about guys
I
who
would
are shot
upload
in the
that.
league. I would
No lie.
do that in a
Cordell
heartbeat.
Patterson. Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe we record that with Bowie on the trip in a couple weeks, or we just like Denard Robinson,
Denard Robinson.
Sony Michelle,
Yeah, I was about to say you don't even elaborate. You just
Yeah,
Darren
no
just
elaboration. Just
McFadden, and then just
20
oh
minutes of
yeah,
names. Yeah.
yeah,
Good one.
yeah.
Very nice.
Like I saw
awesome.
a TikTok the other day. It was like drop your mid quarterback that you watched growing up. And I saw someone put Kyle Trask. I was like,
How old are we?
Wasn't he a Heisman
yeah.
finalist?
Yeah, he
I thought
wasn't
he
even
was.
mid.
Yeah.
I mean, well, by my definition he's mid, but like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he was a Heisman finalist.
Legacy wise,
Uh,
yeah,
I forget he was a Heisman finalist. That was a weird
yeah.
Florida team.
that was.
Well, when you got they are literally a shoe throw away from making the playoff.
Let me see.
That's
At, at
one of the
least
worst
statistically.
things I've ever seen on a football field happen for a
Yep.
team.
Because if he
Finished
doesn't throw that
4th.
shoe, yeah, if he doesn't throw that shoe, they're in field goal range. They hit that field goal, they beat LSU, and I'm pretty sure they won every other game on their schedule for the remainder of the season. And they were like fifth going into that game, something like that, like on the bubble. And a win over LSU and beating Florida State would have been, I think, enough to get him in the. Anyway, hello, happy Masters Week.
Happy Masters Week.
And before we
Love
get
it.
into it, got the beach version of the mountain candy. Got the beach candy.
Nice.
Exact same thing, except it's lighter and only 6% alcohol. Not as
That's
good.
it.
Less flavor. You know, in case you thought lighter meant less flavor. Who knew?
All
So,
right.
yeah.
Do we want to intro it for the YouTube cut, Mr. Nash?
Yeah, we could do that.
We could
Which
start
one
either
do we
one.
want to run first? Okay.
Running back, yo.
Sure.
Yep.
We'll go with running backs. It doesn't really matter either way. So let me just pull this into my view real quick.
Interface is
I'm
already
gonna.
pulled up on my end, so
Yep.
we are ready to go.
I'm gonna
All
be
right. Well,
wrong
we'll just
either
get
way. So
straight into it. Yeah. We're going to
yeah.
have some opinions. It'll be a good time. So, anyways, I'll just clap and get into it, and we'll talk some running backs. Welcome back to Three&Out. Continuing on our draft content. It's crazy. I don't know the exact dates, but I think we're only a couple of weeks away from the NFL draft. April is flying by already. It's crazy. But we get some guys we're going to talk about at the running back position and the wide receiver position. I'm not sure if I'm going to cut it up into two yet. We'll see, but if you don't see wide receivers in this video, go watch it. It's probably already up or will be up shortly after. So yeah, thanks for coming and hanging out and talking ball. Honestly, we'll just hop straight into it. No need to beat around the bush here. Talking five of maybe not the best. I like so for these tier lists, mostly the best. I wanted to throw in a couple guys that would maybe be worth a conversation, not necessarily super highly touted, and get some opinions from the group. This has 5, the other one has 6. So if you want to see part 2s on any of these by any chance, let us know. We'll talk about more, but We app so much that if we were to put many more guys on it, these videos would be an hour, like the last one was when we talked about quarterbacks. So we're gonna get right into it. I have all the stats pulled up this time actually, so I can kind of maybe sound like I know what I'm talking about. So at least on my screen on the tier list, the very first man that we're going to be talking about really needs no introduction. One of the best players in college football this past season, finalist in New York. Some would say a snub for the trophy. Some people might say that. Ashton Genty became a household name this past year. Non-ball knowers might not have known him before, but he cemented himself in college football history pretty much. I mean, he had a pretty historic season. So yeah, I'll run down his stats real quick and then we'll talk about where he fits. Oh, also tiers. So for running backs, bottom up, bust, back up, and then it kind of needed a midway point. So it's rotational piece, like give somebody a breather or a second option, RB1 or generational. And if you watched our last tier list, doesn't necessarily have to be anybody in generational. There could be no generational running backs in this class. However, if there's anybody that could be touted with that title, it might be this man. So in 2024, he was a workhorse for the Broncos, 374 yards, 374 carries. Excuse me, that wouldn't be very.
I was like, a game,
productive.
maybe?
Yeah, a game maybe. That would honestly be closer to the truth than if he only had 374 yards for the whole season, which is pretty crazy. But no, 2,600 yards, averaging 7 yards a carry, 29 touchdowns with a long of 77. And then I have a draft thing pulled up just to see the kind of general area that he's being talked about going. This website says top 5. So I looked at some other mocks earlier, probably top 10. First running back off the board. It depends on how well running backs are valued. In the NFL, it's kind of shifting towards not as much value and taking a guy super high. However, he will almost certainly be the first running back off the board. With all of that said, where do we think he falls?
Genty is weird. No, I'm kidding. Drew, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just gonna, for the folks at home, I was just gonna run down the draft order at least through the top 5. So if he is potentially gonna go top, like the precedent we set last time was that a lot of times it depends on where you go. So with that being said, it's the Titans, the Browns, the Giants, the Patriots, and the Jaguars. I mean, if he goes in the top 5, it's sounding like a lot like the quarterback discussion we had. He's probably going to need some help in the offensive line room. Out of those 5 teams, honestly, I don't even know who would have the best offensive line out of those 5. I don't know ball at the professional level.
None of the above.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like picking between a rock and a hard place. Who is getting a Teams call right now?
I don't know why I'm getting a call on Teams. Hold on. That's my bad.
No.
I will edit that out.
No, it's fine. I just got PTSD.
It's 8:15. I'm on the work laptop. Yeah,
dude,
I'm on
they
the
saw
work
you were
laptop.
online
That
and
scared the shit out of me. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's give B Nash a ring. Let's see what he's doing this
Can you
week.
get this out by the end of the day?
I think it's on my desk in 30 minutes.
Good Lord, yeah. Sorry for anybody out there listening who just got a little bit of PTSD.
No, it's all good. It's all good. Yeah, I think that now Genty's the type of guy that like will fight for his own yards. I think with historically speaking, the offense that would probably do pretty well would be the Browns, just because historically they've had Chubb. So they at least know how to use a franchise running back. And I don't know. I just hope he would stay healthy in that situation. But I mean, similar run style. Genty's a little bit more shifty, but like, I mean, as far as being able to be the guy, they have both shown that they have that ability. Yeah, I think at the most or at the least he's an RB1 wherever he goes. Gonna make an impact day one, and then I don't know. I just feel like it's hard to put anybody in generational, just due to the fact like Noah's. Was that I can't remember who said it, but like with just how running backs are being looked at in the league right now. Um, I don't know. But what is a Genty shelf life? Is it 5 seasons?
He's
Is
only
it
21.
10 seasons?
I thought he was
Sure.
like closer to 22, 23. He's only
Mm-hmm.
21. So
That's good.
if
That's
he
good.
stays
So
healthy, I don't know if the injury history is really there.
yeah,
It could be a pretty long shelf life.
10 seasons minimum. You think?
Maybe
Hopefully.
close to 10. I think average for running backs like 6 in the NFL. So I mean,
Mm-hmm.
anything above
Mhm.
that, I think you kind of get your return on investment.
You think the size is a problem?
How tall is he?
He's
He's
like
like
5'9", isn't he?
there.
5'9", 215.
There have been little guys. I mean, Darren Sproles.
Kind of
Like,
par for the course.
yeah. I think I will say though, like we talk about running backs and the value of the position is ever changing. I actually think it's going to start having an upswing, since the Bijan Robinson, what's his name, Jameer Gibbs draft.
Saquon.
Mm-hmm.
They were both
Sure.
taken in the first round.
Oh yeah,
Both
yeah,
have
yeah.
paid off for the teams that drafted them. I would say, I mean, the team on my hat right now took Bijan, and he's the centerpiece of our offense, like bar none. I think I don't think he's going top five. I think he's going to go probably to either the Raiders or the Bears. The Raiders are like 6, and I think the Bears are at like 9 or
Yeah,
10
the
or
Raiders
something
are
like that.
6.
The
As
Bears,
of
Raiders
yesterday,
with
the Bears were at
Brock
10.
Powers.
Yeah, Raiders would be good.
Raiders would be a good fit. I think the Bears would be borderline scary just because who else is on that team? You got Caleb Williams, DJ Moore. Who's that wide receiver too?
Mm-hmm.
Odunze is there.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
made a ton
That's
of
they.
acquisitions on the O line. That would be the dream scenario if I were
Yeah,
Ashton Genty. So
I doubt he falls all the way to 10, but yes, I agree
yeah,
with you. That would.
running back is just such a luxury pick. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think
Speaking
if
from experience, there.
yeah, a little bit. I think he's far and away the best running back prospect since Bijan Robinson, and I think he's on that tier. I would call Bijan generational, and I think Genty also falls into that category. Just absolute stud. It's must see TV every time he touches the ball.
Yeah. Can you define generational at the running back position for me? Like, is Nick
Hmm.
Chubb generational?
Ooh,
Is Derrick Henry generational?
yes. Derrick
Okay.
Henry is. I don't know about
Okay.
Nick Chubb. As we call like generational in terms of like prospects. I don't know if Nick Chubb was really generational just because he had, the devastating knee injury. But let me think. Saquon is like that generational
Sure.
prospect.
Sure. Like top
Yeah.
2 in their generation.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just
Mhm.
making sure. And what is so? And are we considering like a generation, like every decade ish?
Ish. 3 to 5
Okay.
years. And since the shelf life is kind of shorter for running backs, probably closer to like every 3 to 5 years, I would say.
Okay.
Yeah. It could also be more of a vibe, like, if you think he's slotted more than just an RB1 on any team.
Yeah.
Someone who can kind of be
Control
a
the offense.
star in the league even. I mean, run the offense through them, kind of like how watched seeing Saquon this past year with the Eagles, that kind of
Yeah.
thing, where you
Yeah.
can just put him on your back. So, I mean, I think if any guy on this list would be generational, it's Genty probably.
Sure. Yeah. Fair enough. Yeah. I mean,
So,
y'all swung me. If we want to put him up there.
I'll be interested to see what capacity he's going to have in whatever offense he's drafted into, because Noah makes a good point. I mean, Bijan is just so involved in the Falcons offense, and you see Jameer Gibbs as well for the Lions. Those two guys going in the same draft class. I do think things are kind of starting to come back around on running backs potentially, because I still don't think it's going to be how it was before in the NFL. But I think the way that running backs are being used that is a bit different now, and figuring out different ways to run offenses through them.
Yeah. We're getting back to smash mouth football.
Yeah, I like it.
Establish the
I
run.
like All right, so we got Genty and generational then.
Yeah.
Yep.
And we can come back. We reserve the right to go back and change our
Yeah.
rankings. We did it last
Listen,
time.
Yeah,
this is our channel. We do what we want.
Yeah,
All
we have
right.
rules.
subject to change as we talk out the rest of this list.
That's right.
Okay, Gen C and generational. Moving on. Let me know if this. I guess this. I think it should be in the same order in my tier list and yours, because next I have Dylan Sampson, which earlier I was talking about putting some guys on here who maybe weren't the highest rated prospects in the draft, but were kind of interesting for us to talk about, because Dylan Sampson by no means is a bad running back.
No.
Had a lot of production this past season at Tennessee. Interesting year for Tennessee. Obviously, they made the playoff, but kind of a team who has been who has made a living over the past few years with the airing it out, spreading the ball out, getting on the ball, going quick, just slinging it. This year, first year with Nico starting, ran a bit more through Sampson, was a bit more of their workhorse for Tennessee. 258 carries, almost 1,500 yards, average 5.8 yards a carry with 22 touchdowns. And then looking at his draft stock, this website has him a late second round draft projection and also has him as the fifth best running back in this class. So I could definitely see him second or third. I mean, I don't think he'll be one of the first guys off the board by any means, but not a bad option. Someone who's battle tested, someone who's had a lot of carries in college. If you're to throw him in a rotation, he could probably hold his own. I don't think he's going to be drafted to be a RB1. I think he'll probably fall somewhere below that. But I still think he could be a solid back in the league. I don't know, can't speak to his receiving ability. I guess I could look at the numbers real quick. But yeah, not really much to look at. So more of a pure running back, I guess you could say traditionally. But I don't know. What do y'all think?
So, are we looking at initial placement or are we looking at potential? Hypothetically.
I mean, if we're gonna say generational, we could probably kind of combine the both, because I understand what you're saying. He's not going to be drafted as an RB1, but we could say he could be an RB1 at one point in the league, right? So maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think, yeah, that's fair. Okay. Sweet. Thank you. Finish your spiel, please.
Yeah, no problem. Because yeah, he's not going to be drafted as an RB1. I don't think that's really within question. I guess the question would be, could he be eventually? And obviously, there's a lot of factors that come into play. But looking at him like purely as a, just in a bubble, in a vacuum, I'm not 100% sure. He's kind of interesting the way that Tennessee's offense operated this last year. Like I said, kind of deviating from what they've done the past couple of years. So they leaned on him a lot. I don't know if whatever team he goes to is really going to lean on him that much. So I'm not sure.
I will say he might be the most fundamentally sound running back. He's a very good. I mean, we saw it. He won the SEC Player of the Year. So I think, heading into that, I'll speak on my bias. The Georgia Tennessee game, I was very, very worried about him breaking some runs on us. He is very good at, with running backs, you always talk about feel, like being able to feel the rushing lanes develop. I think he's probably the best at that in this draft, if that makes any sense. I think
is it a patience thing?
That round 2,
okay.
round 3 grade. I like him a lot as a prospect. It's just a shame he went to Tennessee.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he could be a gem and late second, early third, even.
Diamond in the rough.
So
that's true.
Yeah, I think, especially in the NFL, I think one of the mistakes that a lot of young running backs make is that the ball is in my hands. I've got to get upfield right now.
Yeah.
Because they're probably a little scared that if I get tackled in the backfield, I'm not setting my team up for success, and coach will pull me and feel like they're on a short leash. But as they get more comfortable in the position and more comfortable in the league, you do see that feel and that letting the play develop in front of you kind of play out. And it seems like he already has that. Does anyone know how old he is? By the way,
I was about to say he was born in 2004,
Yeah.
and he ran a 4.42.
okay,
He's
so
quick.
Okay. I've
young
got
guy,
Running back.
yeah,
He's 5'8". He's small. We were talking about size concern for Genty.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
5'8", 200. So a little bit on the smaller side, but he's fast.
He could probably be a great Michelle-esque.
I was gonna say a
Like,
shorter Le'Veon Bell.
there you go.
Has
Well,
that ball
I was just
carrier
saying,
vision.
yeah, I was just saying, like having the ability to come in, be a fresh set of legs, and be a dependable fresh set of legs.
I like that.
Okay, yeah.
And
Yeah, I mean, Sony Michel had a decent career in the NFL.
yeah,
I don't think there's
scored
any.
touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Won some rings, right? So nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I mean, obviously he was not RB1 really
No.
at any point. He was in a rotation.
Contributor, but not an
So
RB1.
yeah. So I mean, I would be confident to at least say that Dylan Sampson would be, like a running back duo or, somebody who got switched in and out.
Totally.
RB1 might be a bit of a argument unless one of you wants to make it. Just with where he's being drafted. He doesn't strike me as someone who is gonna light the league on fire, which
Right.
I don't think he needs to. I mean, as long as he's productive for whoever he's drafted for, I think he could have a pretty decent career in the NFL.
You can make a lot of money just being on the roster.
That's true.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think he's definitely got a lot of potential. And like Noah was saying, he's got that ball carrier vision, which gets you a long way in the NFL, being an elite processor and decision maker goes a long way. So, and he definitely has a lot of experience after this past season. I mean, they leaned on him a lot this year with Tennessee. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good with rotational. I think I think he's a good prospect, and I definitely, if my team were running back needy, maybe in need of a potential rotational piece, I would probably look his way. I think, yeah, I think if I were a running back needy team, he's a viable option.
Without reaching.
Yeah.
Rotational piece he's a safer pick.
Potential to be more,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, moving. Okay, I'm looking at the prospect because I left a lot of the top guys off, so maybe we'll have to do another one. I just wanted to get the big names. So, Marion Hampton, North Carolina, and then Caleb Johnson, Iowa, 2 and 3. So maybe we'll talk about them later. But we got some other guys on here we'll talk about for the meantime.
Those two guys weren't. This is a college football channel. Those two guys, college football wise, were not the huge names. So like, cut us some slack if you're no Marion Hampton.
We're trying to get clicks.
Yeah, exactly. We're going for the names.
A North Carolina fan or an Iowa fan. Yeah. Exactly. So, anyways, which is exactly why I included this next man on the list. He had a breakout season as well, and I've just recently learned that I've been saying his last name wrong because apparently it's Scataboo, not Scatabo. I think Scatabo sounds a little better, but I think Boo is the official way to say it. Cam Scataboo, the star running back for the Arizona State Sun Devils, willing them to the playoffs this year, giving Texas all they could handle up until the very end and even past the very end of regulation. He's an interesting prospect. Let me get his stats up. So this past year for Arizona State, Scat Pack, yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Nearly 300 carries, 1,700 yards, 21 touchdowns. Looking at his draft grade currently, let me scroll down a little.
I think it's round 4. I'm looking at NFL.
It's 4th. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's a 4th round projection right now. This website has him as the 8th overall running back in this class. What else? 5'10", 219, ran a 4.65, 40. And this says he is a dual role back. So,
I mean, yeah, the Arizona State offense did run through him. So yes, man played quarterback, running back, wide receiver. Pretty sure he lined up at tight end a time or two. I mean,
he's dynamic.
yeah, I think,
He can do a little bit of
dynamic
everything.
for sure.
Those swing passes
Uh,
were lethal.
Yeah, yeah,
I remember, I think it was one in the Big 12 championship game that he took the distance. It was, I think it might have been the play to seal the game, actually. Yeah, he definitely has that burst on those swing passes and, flat routes. So he can definitely hurt there.
and he's also got like football IQ to a point because in the same game, Big 12 championship game, I saw a play where he was legitimately about to take like a 30-yard loss because the ball was snapped over his head, and since he lined up at quarterback in the Wildcat, he was able to attempt a pass and make it second and 10. Yeah, and throw it away.
Most guys,
I mean, it
I don't know
looked
why
like
not making that play.
Yeah.
no, looked like he was chucking a grenade, but it was a pass attempt.
Hey, all went forward.
It ain't got to be pretty.
The ball passed the line of scrimmage, and he was outside of the pocket. So good for him. I don't know, man. See what sticks in my mind. I feel like the man's already got CTE, which is tough to say. Like, yeah. Which
with the helmet.
I understand if like that's a way for you to get locked in or like get your helmet like sitting on your head correctly. I understand that, but like it just leaves an impression that his shelf life is going to be less than 3 years. I hope I'm wrong, but I think if he gets his bell rung, he could be in some serious trouble.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know.
I feel like it could be said for a lot of these guys who are, have been taking a heavier workload in college.
Yeah.
I mean, looking at his stats, he's been there since 2021. He's, at least for this class, a little bit on the older side. He's 23 years old, and didn't really have that much of a workload in 2021, but in 2022 took almost 200 carries. And every season following increase. Well, no, 2023 was 164, and then 2024 obviously was his biggest workload as a running back. So if we want to talk about that, yeah, I mean, he's been put through the ringer a little bit. That's for sure.
I know that he actually lost like 30 pounds between his junior season and his senior season. So he could get faster because I think, y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe he was sharing carries or being the rotational guy leading up to his senior year. And then the senior year,
Correct.
he was the guy.
Yeah, it looks like his sophomore year, 2022, I'm sorry, I don't watch that much Arizona State football, so forgive me, but it looks like he might have been more of the guy in 2022. He took almost 200 carries and had almost 1,400 yards, and then that almost got cut in half in 2023 in terms of rushing yards. He got 164 carries, so yeah, he might have dropped weight, even though technically, I mean, 4'6", 4? It's still not slow by any means, but it's not afterburners.
Yeah.
So
I'm trying to think of him. I mean, he screams like I see this in my mind. I don't know why it's a gut feeling. I just think 5 years from now, I'm gonna be scrolling on my phone and I'm gonna see like a Cam Scatabo in it, and I'm gonna be like, this dude was nuts.
With a sad song behind it.
Yes. Why didn't he work out in the NFL? Like, I just have a feeling that it's gonna happen. I don't know. I can't really explain it. It might be the speed
alone there.
thing. You need speed in the NFL, especially at the running back position. Bruisers don't last long either. Everyone's a hard hitter in the NFL. Everyone's fast. So
yeah, and I mean, even in the aspect of him being a quote unquote bruiser, I mean, he could be bigger. Cut down to 215. Not saying he can't, Mike linebacker in the A gap and lower his shoulders, but add that up over time. I'm interested to see, and it's the same for all these guys, who drafts them and how they use them. For me right now, looking at him, I don't think he's going to be drafted to start. He might get some rotations in. Be interested to see where it goes. For him right now, I'm between backup and rotational / second option. That's really where I see him.
I think I agree with that. I think his archetype as a whole is going extinct in the NFL. You don't see a lot of guys like him, Scatabo, sorry. Um, so yeah, I mean, he, for lack of a better term, he's a novelty prospect from a bygone era, for lack of a better term.
Yeah. I'm leaning towards backup that will probably like his goal. I hate to say it, but I think his goal is going to be to last in the league for 5 years on an active roster, so he can catch a pension, and then
Yeah, man. I mean, that's all you need to do. And plus, get out of your rookie contract or right around there,
yep,
and
yep.
you know,
Because I don't
invest
want to
that
call him
wisely.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't want to call him a bust because I mean he's projected to go in the
he's not
fourth
highly
round.
rated enough.
Right,
Yeah, I would
right.
agree.
The hit rate on
So
late round running backs has not been very high. So you got to kind of have that billing as one of the top prospects to really be able
be
to
a bust.
bust.
Yeah, yeah. Pause.
Yeah, I know. All right. Anyway, I'm cool with him in backup.
Yeah,
Back
I'm
up.
cool with that.
Yeah, I think that's probably where he's best slotted, at least for what we've talked about now. But anyways, we have a nice little spread. A guy in each category, or different categories so far. So I like a little bit of variety. And then we're gonna end it off with the dynamic duo from the Ohio State University, the reigning college football national champions. Starting off with the man who has been there a little bit longer with the program, Mr. Travion Henderson. And let me make sure I have his stats up. We'll run through those real quick. Obviously, him and the next man we're going to be talking about, Quinshon Judkins, transferred from Ole Miss, split carries this past season. So in 2024, Travion Henderson had 144 carries for just over 1,000 yards, averaging 7.1 yards per carry and 10 touchdowns. And when it comes to the draft, he is projected. My information that I have could be. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but he is saying he's a late second round pick. He's the fourth rated running back in the draft, 5'10", 202.
Hmm.
I didn't know he was that small, or at least
He
weight
looks
wise. I
bigger.
thought he was a little
Yeah,
bigger.
yeah.
He
No, it
runs
looks like he
bigger,
plays for him. Yeah.
and he ran a 4.43. So
Something to
kind
say
of
about that.
measurables are kind of comparable to Dylan Sampson almost. I think Sampson's even a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
So, anyways, what do we think?
This comp is interesting. I'm on NFL.com. His comp is Aaron Jones. That is very intriguing.
That's a generous comp. In my opinion, that's a generous comp. But
That's valid.
Fantasy football legend,
True.
Aaron Jones.
How is Travion's receiving? Is he
let me see what he had.
this write up says Henderson isn't Jahmyr Gibbs but can operate in a similar role for teams looking to add a more dynamic player to their running back room.
Yeah, he had 27 receptions for 284 yards in 2024.
Okay.
So he has the capacity to be. I mean, he was the one that caught that like really long screen pass for a touchdown in the national championship,
That's
right?
over 10 yards an attempt, isn't it?
It is 10 and a half yards an attempt. His long being 75, which I'm assuming
Which
is that
helps.
screen pass in the national championship and one touchdown,
Yeah.
which was also that screen pass in the national championship. So that definitely helped his receiving stats.
Yeah, that helps.
That's for sure. But can't fault him for that. So, I mean, yeah, he's interesting. I mean, yeah, maybe like a Aaron Jones, Jahmyr Gibbs kind of guy. It's just watching his play style doesn't really strike me like a Jahmyr Gibbs personally. I don't know.
I think people are praising his ability as a pass blocker, which is a very, very valuable trait in the NFL.
Sure.
I'll praise
For good reason.
I'll praise Bijan Robinson for that. He has excelled in pass blocking for the Falcons, which therefore adds to his value even more. But I think Henderson, I don't know, man. for me, it all depends on landing spot because he could, get drafted to a team with a terrible offensive line, fizzle out in 3 years, or he could get drafted to a team with one of the better offensive lines in the league and become an RB1 and blossom. It is really such a large variability. Like he doesn't have a ton of like the generational traits that we see with Genti, but he's just solid pretty much everywhere. So
Mhm.
I think
Mhm.
there's a large kind of variability for what he could become.
I would agree. I didn't know he
What?
ran. Sorry, I didn't know he ran a faster 40 than Judkins. It's kind of surprising.
Really?
Maybe I don't know ball.
Huh.
I thought he was more the bruiser in that backfield, but I guess I didn't watch that much
His
Ohio
play
State
style,
football.
he does not shy away from contact.
He
No, he
doesn't,
doesn't.
but I mean,
But apparently he's
maybe he's not
fast.
exactly what I thought he was. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
huh.
so it sounds like he's kind of being tethered, at least amongst the three of us, to Samson. So my question is, what's the differentiator between him and Samson?
Hmm.
The fact that Samson wasn't splitting carries.
Yeah, I think that plays into it.
I think I like him more than
So
Samson because that usage, he doesn't have that mileage that Samson does. Having
yeah,
Judkins in that backfield, I mean, we saw this with Nick Chubb and Sony Michelle. They kind of took that feature back mileage off of one another.
mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that's what a lot of college teams are moving more towards. At least your premier elite programs who can recruit at a high clip for multiple guys in the same room. Um, so yeah, I mean, if we're talking about him versus Sampson, I think they're very similar. Um, I think I might agree with Noah. I might like him a little bit more just because of not stuff that necessarily has to do with um, play style or you know all knowledge or anything, but just because he has a little less mileage on him. I'm trying
What?
to see
How about the
how
ages?
old he is.
Samson was
Yeah.
younger, yeah, or younger-ish. I don't know if
I
he's
know
younger than.
Judkins is a
Uh,
senior. Samson, I think, was a junior.
let's see.
But going
He
to a school
is
like Ohio
20,
State,
22. He's 22.
22. Okay, so all
two
right,
2 years older than Samson. Wow.
yeah. Well, yeah, maybe 1.5, but yeah, depending on birthdays
Yeah.
and shit.
Well, yeah. Well, for I don't know. He has a very similar feel to Samson for me, so I don't know if I could justify putting him in RB1 if we're sitting here having this conversation, splitting hairs.
Yeah.
Um, between him and Samson, I guess we could put him above in that tier if we want to really get specific. But I mean, a guy who's being drafted right now, projected in the late second round. Probably not going to be RB1 immediately. Gonna kind of have to prove it, and like we've said before, it really boils down to where you end up at,
Yeah,
and the situation really. I mean, you could start somewhere and then be traded or walk from your rookie deal and end up down the line becoming an RB1.
Yeah.
yeah,
Who knows? But for him right now, I feel like rotational slash second option would probably be a safe bet. At least for me personally.
I like that.
yeah,
We rocking
yeah.
with
That
that?
sounds good. Yeah, yeah, that sounds good.
There we go. All right. Well, we can go ahead and round out this tier list with his teammate Quinshawn Judkins, first year away from Ohio State, Ole Miss coming in um, this past offseason. Had 194 carries, 1,060 yards, averaging 5.5 yards per carry and 14 touchdowns. I'm looking at his draft profile here. I believe he's also a late second round draft projection. So kind of hard to put a pulse on who he might end up with. And Judkins ran a 4.4840. He's ranked as the sixth best running back in this draft class. And he's a little bigger, 6 feet tall, 221 pounds. So, hey, how some of these have the age and some don't. Um, I think he's a junior, so he's probably, you know, 21, 22 maybe. Um, so what do we think?
Is it weird I'm feeling bust? Just looking at the
It's not
splits,
ridiculous to say that.
but
It's
just
not crazy.
hear me out. Just looking at the splits, let me pull up his stats
He's 21, by the
in
way, born
comparison.
in 2003.
I don't
I
know.
just
He led the
I
team
feel
Judkins is
like-
interesting to me.
Yeah.
I've never been. I'm not gonna say he's bad because he's not, but the way he was being talked about at Ole Miss before he transferred, I never really thought that he lived up to the hype. Not saying that he's a bad back, not saying that at all, but I can see the argument that maybe he's not all he's chalked up to be.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have serious. It might just be because Ole Miss is my second favorite team, but I have serious questions about a guy who leaves a program that's on the up and up and runs to a perennial powerhouse.
Chasing him back.
Which listen,
Mhm.
listen, I get it, right? Like from a finance, like I'm a CPA, I get the finances, right? But I don't know. It just if I'm a GM, it just makes me question, right? Like, can this guy genuinely buy into the team?
I mean, I think that's a
Like-
valid concern.
So I don't know. I don't know. Like, could he have attitude problems? I don't know Quinshon Judkins. I'm sure he's a good guy, but I mean, he's a really good running back. We all know that. I mean, he's for a minute there, he was the most broken player in NCAA.
Yeah.
So
Did they ever release a patch for that spin move?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that shit was crazy in the beginning.
It was broken for like 3 or 4 weeks though.
It's crazy.
Oh,
We lost him.
I think Brandon's gonna go check on that spin move.
Yeah.
Oh.
There he is. He's
Good?
wired it.
Didn't
Yep.
you see me?
Your
That was
mic's
weird.
coming in a little
Whatever.
hairy, but
Yeah, audio's a little weird, but I mean, we can hear that you're talking. Yes.
true.
Probably through my headphones. 1 second. It probably sounds like it's through a Nintendo 3DS. Hold on. Yeah.
It wasn't that
All right,
funny,
this should
but it was
be-
funny to me. Yeah,
Where'd it go?
that's better. Sounds like. Doo-doo.
All right, let's see Judkins. I'm gonna ad lib it. The
There you go.
NFL.com comparisons. Joe Mixon. That
Okay.
seems about right. I don't know if he'll have the career arc of Joe Mixon. He's got all the pieces.
Hopefully not the personal life arc.
Yeah, probably
Sorry.
not. Hopefully not. Jeez.
Anyways, sorry.
Good God.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it would be a success if he had the on the field success of Joe Mixon.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm
I think
just
based
not-
on hype, if we're going based off of hype, I think he could be in bust category. But
Man, I'm not
honestly-
gonna complain about putting somebody in the bust category.
yeah, I mean,
Someone needs
worst
to be
case-
there. No.
I mean, statistically speaking, at least he's gonna be a backup, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I think him being
At
a backup
least
in the league would count as
Would
a
be
bust.
a bust
if you're-
for him.
He's
if
got
you're
round
seeing the
two
field-
grade, a round 2 pick can be a bust.
Yeah, I mean, if you're seeing the field less than 25% of the time as Quinshon Judkins, you're a bust. I'm sorry. That's really all I gotta say.
I agree, I think. Yeah.
Screw it. Put him in bust. Yeah, I mean,
I like
that's a
it.
good point with I don't know. He's got a lot of buzz and probably rightfully so for his his play on the field at Ole Miss, and then obviously did what he did at Ohio State and won a national championship. And it continues to grow, but I don't know if I see anything crazy for him. So I like him in bust. That's for sure.
Cool.
All right.
Somebody had to be the sacrificial lamb there.
Yep.
So
Yep.
sorry, Quinshon. All right. Anyways, I'll edit it later if I need to, but
That'd
I'm
be
cool to
Easter.
just roll straight into the next tier list if y'all are.
It
Or
is
if we want to
totally
wrap it there,
8:52.
and that could be, we could save the next one for next week because that is a good point. But
Um,
whatever y'all think.
We've got what, 6 guys in the next one? I just think
I think it'd be better if we had like a little save this for next week because that's still pre-draft content.
that's true.
Do like a shoot the shit State of the Union type deal where we brainstorm for the next 10 or 15 minutes. I think call it a
I'm cool
night
with
because
that. Yeah, I wasn't thinking about how much of a time commitment that next one was because it's got 6 guys, and I feel like wide receiver this draft with wide receivers may be a bit more polarizing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I should whatever. We're not going to talk bedtimes, but I feel
I'm
like
not getting
if
that personal yet.
yeah, I feel like if we start another one, we're going to be brushing up against.
It's got to get its beauty sleep. Got to
Well,
create shareholder value.
well,
Absolutely.
when your wife's in the school system and needs 8 hours of sleep
I
a
think
night.
spring break.
But no, it's next week.
It's spring break down here in Georgia.
Yeah, so that's what I've been hearing.
Yeah.
Yeah, my mom's coming up this weekend, so that'll be good.
Let's see. What can we talk about?
I mean,
I feel like the discussion you brought up earlier kind of warrants maybe a little bit more.
well, maybe at
dive.
least half an episode. Yeah,
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 because I got a plan. I got a plan.
yeah,
When it comes to that.
yeah.
I got a
We
system.
could.
It's perfect.
Here's something real quick that I think would be less in depth. So I was talking with some of the fellows up here at the church because we had a men's retreat this past weekend. Um, and we were discussing potential further conference expansion. And I wanted to pick y'all's brains. Like, do you think Florida State and Clemson would have any like cultural issues joining the SEC this fall if it were to happen hypothetically? It's probably not going to, but like when I think of the SEC, I think Clemson and FSU would fit in perfectly fine.
I think FSU perfect fit. I think Clemson's whole holier than thou um,
Sure.
vibe, at least in the fan base. I don't know if Dabo carries the same sentiment in the program, but
Mm-hmm.
at least the fan base, it's I feel an air of superiority among that fan base, and I think I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Twitter would be
Yeah.
so fun if
I
they
think
joined the
Oh yeah.
SEC.
I think non-SEC fans would say that SEC fans also have a superiority
I
complex.
mean, true. That's a good point.
Yeah, which lends itself to what I'm about to say, which is if Clemson joined the SEC, I think that would not be great for their program. Let's just say I don't think they would enjoy that regular season schedule.
They might win 8 games. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah,
They played
I
two.
mean, depending on who they drew.
They
I
played
mean,
two last year
Yeah,
and lost both.
true.
so
Oh wait,
I
three.
mean,
They played three last year, including the playoff game. Lost all three.
I think it makes sense because like FSU Florida, boom, conference game. Clemson South Carolina, boom, conference game. See, but like you don't want to make that same argument about Louisville because like yeah, they're in Kentucky. I mean, yeah, they've had some fairly successful seasons in the past 10 or 15 years by Louisville standards. I mean, they had Lamar for a couple of seasons for crying out loud. So they produced a Heisman Trophy winner. Um, but I don't know. I don't know. They don't feel like as deep south to me. Like
They get eaten alive.
if yeah,
Fucking
they would do well
Cincinnati.
in other sports maybe, but when I'm running down the list for like Florida State especially, and Clemson as well, I also looked at the other sports. Florida State baseball, really good. Florida State softball, really good. Florida State basketball, yeah, it would probably be tough sledding for them. But like out of the major sports, I think Florida State would fit in just fine.
yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
so. I mean,
Well, it could. Yeah.
I think Tallahassee could definitely be a
SEC
good
college town.
SEC vibe,
Sure.
SEC college town for sure. I think they'd fit in pretty well. I think Clemson's kind of the odd man out there in that situation. Um,
Auburn with a
for
lake,
sure.
some refer to it.
Auburn with the lake.
Hey now,
Those fighting words.
I said that to an Auburn fan this past weekend, and he had a few choice words for me, which is
Oh.
really interesting considering we were at a
really?
Christian men's retreat.
That's
To
hilarious.
be, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know, but like, okay. Also, because this was brought up because we talked about potentially the Big Ten and the SEC just becoming super conferences, getting rid of the NCAA, and then just those two conferences talking to each other and holding their own like NFC, AFC playoff style, and then having like a natty at the end, similar to the NFL. And if that came down to it, I'd be happy to take in Louisville. Um, the Big Ten can have Notre Dame. I don't care. Like they can also have the entire ACC north of Virginia,
Yeah.
and they can have.
Do we think conference realignment, things have kind of cooled down. Granted, it's the off season. Do you think it's going to stop?
I think it's going to come in waves. My humble opinion, because like Texas A&M and Missouri joining the SEC was huge news back in 2012.
Yeah.
And then the Big East disbanding back in the day was huge news for the Big Ten and the ACC. So I think we ran through a lot of it at once, and then now the Pac-12 is kind of like bringing up some Mountain West people. And I think where it's going to be cool for a couple of years, and then I would assume in like 2027 or 8, it'll probably pick back up again. That's my just assumption.
That's
I just
cool.
feel like we've had a
I would
lot
agree.
of changes lately with conference realignment, the playoff, and NIL. It's been a lot.
Yeah, I think it's going to take a hiatus. However, I think it's safe to say that the gap of time between this past time where conference realignment happened, just this past year in 2012, the gap for the next one is going to be much less time, and I
Yeah.
think that's going to be that way continuing forward. I think we'll see. I mean, I don't know. This past year of college football, it just feels different. Obviously, with NIL and conference realignment and everything, it's hard to not feel different. But I don't think, obviously, college football has never been in a place like this.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how it kind of plays out through the rest of even like the 2020s. If it'll like kind of self-correct course or what's going to happen. I mean, there could even be, there's already talks of expanding the playoff further, right? So, I mean, it's a very ever-evolving landscape in college football right now. Sometimes even hard to keep up with for even for diehard fans.
Yeah. Please no, no more expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, well, I think they can tweak it for sure. I just don't know if we need to expand it. I think we can stick with 12 for a while, mess around with the automatic seeding. That's obviously not. I think they go through potentially one more year with the top 4 seeds being determined by the top rated conference champions. And if we have blowouts and viewership goes down, then I think they're going to reevaluate going into 2026.
I thought they were already making changes this coming season. I don't.
They,
Was that
I thought those were
decided, or was
rumors.
that?
I don't think anything's been decided. I think that they are talking about it, which
I
is
could be
good.
wrong.
I think that's a good change. So
No decisions made yet.
yeah.
Definitely a lot of conversations happening. I mean,
Sure.
honestly, in some cases, rightfully so. I mean, I think it could be good to, take a page out of some of the other major sports leagues books who have had, larger playoff pools like this for, years and years and years in terms of
Mhm.
even like, reseeding or
Mm.
stuff like
Uh-huh.
that, things where it just kind of is more of a well-oiled machine. You kind of looking at the standard for football, the NFL playoffs. They've been doing it the same way for a while, and it's really entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see moving forward if they're just going to be, stuck in their way, like it works like this and it's going to work like that until expansion or what, or if it's going to change and then there's going to be expansion. I'll be curious to see because while obviously the expanded playoff was very entertaining as a college football fan, I do think there were some things that were kind of sticking out in ways that, maybe could have worked a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
So I have it here. Any changes to the playoff system or for the upcoming 2025 season, which is the final year of the current CFP contract, would need to be approved
mm,
by a unanimous vote. So
Mm.
highly doubt any sort of change would be coming. I mean, maybe if they
yeah,
find something that everyone is for, which doubt it. But
it's hard to do that.
yeah.
Yeah. Just because, like, I feel like it's really hard for things to happen in college football just because, like, there's a lot of pride, there's a lot of history.
Like
Um,
tradition.
yeah, a lot of tradition. Or, like, the NFL, by comparison, is still really young compared to a lot of these universities, right? Because these teams aren't just football teams. Like, they're tied to universities that have a lot of pride and a lot of tradition. So, like, especially like the SEC and the Big Ten, right? Like, they're obviously going to fight for more automatic bids for like their conference runner-ups, and so on and so forth, right? But the Big 12 and the ACC, like, wait a damn minute, like we're just as important as they are. Which in the sport of football, statistically, you are wrong. Um, but that I just feel like, yeah, I don't think any decision is going to be made quickly. We'll see how it looks after the contract runs out and they actually have to come to the table and get real. But
Yeah, that'll be interesting to see. I also think that the whatever you want to call it, I think the college football playoff, the committee needs to be reworked a little bit.
Yeah.
I know I've kind of mentioned this a few times throughout the regular season. All I'll say, there should be no acting athletic director on that
yeah,
board, in my opinion. I
yeah,
just think like, yeah, you leave the room when they talk about your team. Okay, yeah. I mean, it just it and to leave it squarely on the shoulders of them. I know. I think BCS caught a lot of flack because of their ranking system or with the computer rankings and stuff like that. But I don't think it should be like completely one way or the other.
hmm
Um, because that's a very very powerful group of people.
At
Um,
the
Yeah.
very least, I think it should be like made up of retired athletic directors and or football coaches that come from schools that have a snowball's chance in hell of ever making the playoffs. Like, no offense, they're just the first team that came to mind, Maryland. Like, whoever their former athletic director was, like, he should be on the committee or she should be on the committee, like, because the bias, like, if yeah, no, Maryland definitely deserves the 12 seed. Maryland's 4-8.
Where did Boo
I was
Corrigan? Where
just,
was he the AD? I think
oh, hold on.
or even
NC
like at the
State.
FCS.
NC State. Yeah.
Who's
Yeah,
the
NC State.
but
Texas guy this year? I don't remember. I'm out of practice.
even like I could even see it being made up of FCS coaches or not, former coaches. Like, obviously, you don't want to take away from those guys dealing with their current programs, but like, yeah, retired FCS coaches that know ball and like obviously know what they're looking
Yeah.
at, but have
I
no
mean, I think
biases.
yeah, I think it'd be cool, if like I mean, obviously you'd have to get into the nitty-gritty of like how much everything is weighed, but even having like, even like a coaches poll or something where you get more of a widespread consensus and input on who should make it. Now, obviously that wouldn't hold as much weight in the decision, but
Yeah,
like I don't know. I feel like it could be more of a widespread thing where it's just not like I don't know how many people are on the committee, like 12 maybe.
Mhm.
I don't know. It
I
just
have
seems
no
kind of
idea.
narrow-minded for today's college football.
Think
Like
you could see like a
obviously,
composite, like a
I don't know.
composite, like
I
between
think
the
there's
12, the coaches, and the computers.
maybe something like that. I mean, I don't know. It's just I feel like it just feels that there's a better way to do it. Personally, I'm not here to provide solutions. I'm just here to bitch about it. Okay.
True. I have an idea
But
for a
what's that?
potential another stream down the line. Maybe, in the throes of the dog days of summer, we could do this. Just break down the college football playoff committee. Just, I guess, like we could go year to year, we could go like the structure and then look at the past couple of years just to see, where the room for bias actually is. Because, like, I was looking at it, it looks like they elect a new committee chair every year, and it seems to be serving athletic directors. Ward Manuel was this past season's, I think he was the AD of Michigan. And
Yeah,
then
Michigan.
I think this year's is the AD of Baylor. So,
Okay,
I
Mac
hate
I
that.
like
Jones.
I like Baylor better than Michigan. No disrespect to Baylor.
Yeah.
True.
Well, and having him be the chairman of it the year after Michigan won the national championship seems to be a bit of a
Yeah,
choice.
Yeah.
come
I
on.
mean, I guess they probably made that decision before they won the national championship. Hopefully,
Like they
I
were in
really hope
contention.
so. But yeah, I
Like they
mean,
were
they
in
were in
contention.
contention the whole year. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mark
Well,
D'Antonio, the basketball coach, is going to be on
a
the committee.
basketball coach? Like, hey, at least he's got no bias,
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
Uh,
Former Mizzou coach Gary Pinkel was on it last year. He stepped down due to other
that's
commitments. So,
sure.
like we were
That's
talking
that's
about,
cool.
former coaches, former,
Yeah.
people who had former involvement, not active involvement, I think is the best thing.
I'm curious
Well, fellas,
how like you get elected to this.
Yeah, that could
Who's
be
saying?
something we
You
could
know who should be
explore.
on the? You know who should be on the college football playoff committee? Gary
Kirk Smart.
Pinkel. That guy should be on the committee. No offense to him.
Gus,
I'm just like
Gus
genuinely
Malzahn,
curious.
Gus
Yeah.
Malzahn.
Gene
Former
Chiswick.
current OC at Florida State, Gus Malzahn. Is it Florida State? I think it's Florida State. I might be wrong. I don't know ball.
No, I think you're right. He left UCF.
I
to go to
forgot
Florida
about
State.
that.
There's going to be so many things that we're going to have to, yeah, it's FSU. Going to have to
Yeah.
brush
That's
up
crazy.
on before
Yeah,
the season
there's a lot that
starts.
happened.
Yeah.
Well, fellas, this has been great. It's fun, but I do have to go.
I think that was a nice little wrap up
Yeah.
discussion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got our tier list in. Got time to shoot the shit. Love it.
Exactly. It's my
Very
favorite part.
nice.
Yeah.
Looks like we got 2 people in the chat. To be fair, one of them is me, but to that other person,
I've been watching the chat.
Hey,
there's
I
no one
mean-
like actively talking, but there's 2 people in here.
that's
So
fine.
Hey.
appreciate you.
As long as there's somebody else in here.
Let's go.
Yep.
All right. Want to take us home? We get a call an evening.
Yeah. Oh, I guess I can take us home. Cool.
It's your job.
Outro. So that is my job. Thank you for reminding me.
Tier
Anybody
lists
watching?
Go up, so you could just do it from the tier list perspective.
Oh, yeah.
For like our outro.
I could do that. And just get back in the
case
frame of
we
mind.
needed a YouTube thing, but I mean, you could.
No, I'm
you
I'm
could
with
also
you.
plug the lives and be like, hey, we talk about other
I
stuff too
will.
on our live streams. So.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. That's our rankings of the running backs for the 2025 class, this upcoming draft class. We're gonna save wide receivers for next week, so stick around for that. We're gonna be doing it on live, 7:30 on Tuesday, tentatively, but that's the goal. So we'll post about it on the socials. It'll be hard to miss, but that's the goal right now. We're gonna talk about that. We ended this past live stream just shooting the shit, talking about college football in general. So if you're interested in that kind of thing at all, please feel free to stick around, subscribe, like. Community engagement means a lot to us. Y'all are the reason why we get into it, is to have discussions about the sport that we love. But yeah, thank you for watching. Thank you for joining the live stream. If you did at any point, we appreciate you.